All right, so for the last part of the final project, FP3, um, you'll do the overview of 3 lessons, and then one lesson you'll actually write out in enough detail for a substitute to implement. So both skills are important, kind of the broad view of how lessons are planned together, like in sequence, and why you chose to teach the things you did. And then also the getting down to the level of detail that you would need to basically kind of hand something to someone, and if they're committed, they'd be able to execute what you wanted them to execute, um, to a reasonable modicum of effectiveness. So I'll repeat what I said at the end of class. One of the most important things to remember about these 3 lessons is that they come from a unit. Now, a unit is 10 to, let's say, 30 days worth of lessons of content, really. If you are trying to cram or end up accidentally cramming into these 3 days the entire content from the unit, one of 2 problems exists. Number one, either you're cramming too much in each lesson, or number two, your unit doesn't contain enough content to constitute a unit. And so you've got to take a look at what you've got going on. And so if you're trying to cover all of geology, weathering, and astronomy in 3 days, that's too much. That's too much for 3 days. So you need to choose one of those 3 maybe, and just figure out which one do I want to expand on over the course of 3 days, because otherwise you'll just have surface level learning. Okay, so again, it's the overview for 3 lessons and 1 lesson plan for the final project. I'm not going to go over too much of this other than to say, reminder, FP1, that was a whole year. You chose 1 unit and created your unit plan, which I just gave you feedback on. That was FP2. And then from that unit plan, which is, I don't know, maybe 10 to 30 days, you're going to choose 3 days. And that's what this FP3 is all about. So there are 2 parts to the assignment. You'll do the 3 lessons overview, which is just, you'll see in a second. And then I do want you to do 1 fully developed lesson plan. That includes materials that you'll use. That includes any handouts. I want to see them. I don't want just a reference to them. I want to see them physically, well, digitally, but I want to see them in full detail. So for the first of these 2, the 3 lessons overview, really the goal is to just give an overview of what you got going on. This should fit on 1 page, and if you can't do that, you're probably gotten too granular. But for each of the 3 lesson overviews include these things for sure. Title. Generally, the thing I look to most is what the learning outcome or outcomes are for the day. Really brief descriptions of what students will do and how it connects to the lessons that come before or after. Additionally, don't forget, UDL has been an emphasis throughout the semester. I want to see explicitly how you offer options for engagement, how your representation has options, and how your action and expression has options. I'm going to skip these things, but these are worth reading. I just want to be efficient with our time here. So the second part is the 1 fully developed lesson plan. I'll change that date. I didn't actually share it, but the information is good. Just 1 substitute-ready lesson plan that contains enough detail, as I mentioned before, so that you could just hand it to someone. Someone could spend a few minutes looking at it and be like, got it. Okay, this is exactly what I'm going to do. So any handouts that are going to be part of that, I need to see, not just referred to. Any assessments, I need to see. So this is like full everything for just 1 lesson, which is probably more effective and more efficient than having you do 180 lessons, which is what a whole school year is. So there's good kind of reminders about how to write lessons. One thing I'll point out is lesson plan learning outcomes. generic words like learn, believe, how, they don't really tell you how, like, what does that mean? How will you know when someone has understood something? What will they do? And so write your learning outcomes in a way that kind of suggests a viable means of assessment. So instead of students will learn about astronomy, well, you could learn about the fact that the stars are actually in the sky, or kind of out there, or you could get into like relativistic quantum blah 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 blah. So learning about astronomy doesn't say much, but if learning outcomes, students will be able to describe that the seasons change throughout the year, and it follows a pretty regular cycle throughout the year, where it's winter, spring, fall, then, or excuse me, winter, spring, summer, then fall, and then back to winter again, and that's a regular pattern. Be able to describe that by either drawing it, or writing it, or explaining it in a audio recording. So that would be a learning outcome written away that suggests like how are you going to assess it, and it suggests like the level that you're going to ask them to know about it. Across the three levels, or the three lessons, they shouldn't all be recall. They should vary the level of cognitive challenge as measured or as indicated by Bloom's levels. And I think that's about it. Take a look at the examples for further clarification. But yeah, I guess that's about it for FP3. I will provide feedback as soon as I am able, and the sooner you get them in, the better, because it's the end of the year, and I'm definitely just keeping an eye towards that for you, and spending more time than usual on feedback, and just looking at what you guys are posting. So if you have any questions, as always, let me know. Oh, I'm not blocking myself out. I'm going to stop all this.